my name's Samantha and this is episode 14 of the Khaos Kismet podcast. This is my little place on the internet where I talk about all the crafting that I have been up to this week. It's predominantly a yarny podcast, mostly crochet, bit of knitting, bit of sewing, bit of cross stitching, embroidery, bit of just whatever I fancied really. So it's from, what day is it? Friday the 23rd. 2 days after the solstice. That means we're heading back towards winter. I do not like the summer. I'm not good with the heat. It's not that I don't like the summer. I love the summer to look at. I just don't deal well with the heat. I've never been one for dealing well with the heat at all. I'm one of these people who sort of burns, goes bright red, and then immediately goes white again afterwards. And then you have these other people, like my kid's dad, who literally looks at the sun out the window and has this magnificent tan. I'm just not genetically good with the sun. But it's nice to be warm again. But I do miss wearing my knits and crochets and things. Starting off with a waffle, I'm sorry. I am recording with the dog is loose today. We'll see how that goes. Last couple of podcasts I've had to crate her because if you have experienced the Lilith, oh here she goes, yeah. If you have experienced the Lilith effect before, she is a force of nature and is generally rather disruptive. She's currently trying to lick my cross stitch. Let's put that over there. Hi Lil, do you want to come and see the people? Come on. Up here. Good girl. Say hi to the people. No, we do not claw at the crochet, thank you. Oh dear. So, we'll see how this goes. Today we do have a bit of a mixture of everything. We have some crochet, we have some knitting, we have some FFOs, we have some whips, we have a little bit of cross stitch, we have a little bit of sewing. And I think that is it. So we shall see how we get on. I'm holding my tablet because I've got all the pages open to show you all the things, and I don't want to put it down in case the dog jumps in it. Nope, she's off. She's gone. Right, let us start with. Oh my god, this is so bad. I'm so sorry. Right, I don't want to restart again though. I've already had to restart. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is just a very, very simple, I made this probably about four years ago, and it's just a very simple mesh. What happened was I had ordered a ball of cotton yarn. When the ball of cotton yarn arrived, it was tiny. It was one of these little mini ones, and I didn't know what to do with it. And that's, can you see the colours there, the pinks and the blues? And there's a sort of tan colour mixed in here, but you can't really see that very well. Also, look, all my nails are in one piece. Yeah, all my nails are in one piece for a change. So what I did was I also had a small ball of bamboo cotton mix, I think it was. It was bamboo and something. Pretty sure it's bamboo and cotton. So I just held them together, made a super simple mesh. It's a row of double crochets and mesh stitch, and then a row of double crochets, and in the middle I just did a decrease, and on the ends I did an increase. So you just go as long as you want it. Increase in the middle, decrease in the middle, increase at the ends, do a mesh stitch, and then you get this like really lovely lightweight summery scarf, because it is still 1,000,000 degrees outside here. And this is nice just for popping on, because this is just a long plain black dress, and it's nice to have something just to dress it up slightly, and this is not too warm. So that is what I am wearing. There's no pattern for it, I just made it up as I went and used up some tiny balls of yarn that I had. I'm having a bit of a thing with that at the minute. I'm trying to use up my stash. I've said previously, I'm really trying to stash down this year. However, I have also had a pretty intense couple of weeks, and I might have gone on a little bit of a splurgy couple of days. So most of the stuff hasn't arrived, but I will show you as it does. There's not like an absolute ton of stuff, but I have bought more stuff than I would normally buy. But then that'll be me fine again for another few months, because I do not do big yarn hauls and things because I can't afford it and I don't have the space for it, and I already have quite a lot of stash that I'm trying to use. So that was an attractive face. I've got itchy nose. Sorry. Right, let's go on to some actual crochet content. I have finished the blanket from last week. Ooh. I just did this, the size of the pattern, and around the edges, this isn't in the pattern, I don't know if you're able to see it actually. Can you see around the edges? I've just done in the brown, which is actually a different yarn because I didn't want it changing colour for the border. I wanted the border to be solid. That's just a Stylecraft, can't remember what colour, Stylecraft DK. And I've just done because these are all double crochets, I've just done a row of front post and then a half double crochet, so it's flat on the back. You'll be able to see that. That's the back of it, so it's flat, and there's the front with the front post. If you do a front post back post, then it looks the same on both sides, but I wanted to have a definite front because the way you work this pattern, you always have the right side facing you. So I've got a floof on my nose now. So this is, come on, there we go. This is the, I'll have all this link down below as well, but this is the Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket by Celeste Young Designs. And this is on Ravelry. It is a free pattern, so I've got fluff everywhere. This is a free pattern, and so I started it last week. The yarn I've used it's from my Good Vibes yarn haul that I had from ages ago, and this is only 2.5 balls, but the pattern said 45 inches, so I thought I'll leave it at 45 inches. That's a pretty decent size for a baby blanket. What I like about this one, I think I'd mentioned before, it's a solid centre. You get quite a lot of them, like the star blanket that I had started last week that I haven't worked on at all, but that's got like a mesh centre, and I think I prefer the solid centre for a baby blanket just because of little fingers and toes. So that is, ooh, I think they look so nice when they're folded up like this. I just want to get like a selection of them and just display them in a big, sorry, but they look pretty. So this is made with DK yarn, a 4mm hook, and I don't know what the actual yarn is because it's out my Good Vibes mystery bags. I just know that it's DK. The yardage on it seems pretty immense though. Like that's a pretty decent sized blanket for 250 grams. So yeah, in fact it's just under 250, it's like 244 or 46 or something. But finished object number 1. Find somewhere to put in it. Finished object number 2 is adorable. Although I'm going to say that because I made it, and I'm not going to make anything that's ugly. That's not true. I've made lots and lots of ugly things. Anyway, so how many weeks ago was it now? Several weeks ago, I showed you the start of this little guy, and I think at the time I only had his mask and maybe part of his head. I don't think he had any eyes. He certainly didn't have any of his stitching or his body or appendages. So this is the Plague Doctor Give me a minute, I will find his, I'll find his Ravelry page. This is a paid for pattern. There it is there. And you can see in the picture, I hope you can see in the picture, I hope the glare's not too bad. You can see there it's got a little lantern. I decided that I didn't want to do the lantern. He also has like a little strap that goes under his chin, which I did make, but when I put it on him, I didn't like it. So I've just left him like this, and I think he's adorable. So the pattern is by B. McDonald. It is £5. There are no conversions on this. So it's £5. It's written in US terms, but I do believe the designer, because she's used Mariner yarns, which you can't get anymore, but they were an English company. They closed down this year, which is a shame because they were really good. It was like very good quality yarn, and it was very cheap. And they had like a decent, it was not a huge range, but it was a decent enough range of acrylics and blends. I just spotted this one. Oh, I might have to do this, look. There's a little pastel one as well. Oh, that's what's in the little lamp. I decided not to bother doing the lamp because I just didn't want to. It looks small and fiddly and it looks like it would be annoying, and I don't think he needs it because I think he's super cute as he is. So this one will be going into my Raven Spirit Studio shop, my little shop of alternative things, and hopefully he will find a nice little good home there. Etsy shop is something I've been working on a bit this week, but I shall get to that shortly. Wait, no. Just trying to jump all over my stuff. She sees things and she's like, I'll just lie on top of that. Move you back over there so she can't do that. Alright. I have two more finished objects, sorry. My last yarny finished object is this. This is a cowl. I was standing at the back door letting the dog out, and that's where my stash lives. We've got like, so we've got this room, and then we've got like a strip of a room down the back, which is, it's not quite a conservatory, but it's like fully warm and dry and insulated and all that sort of stuff. So that's where all of my craft stuff lives. And I have a box thing that had just like partial balls in it, and I had these two sticking out the top. And this one, I've literally had this half a ball for years, because I remember what I used the rest of it for. It was to make, I'd made myself a jumper with the colourwork yoke on it, and that's the colour. I'm sorry, she's just picked up her bone. Lil, no, don't see you chewing that. No. Oh my goodness. Right, give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. I have now put the dog in her crate, and we should no longer hear her chewing on a bone. I'm sorry if that was really loud. She always does this. As soon as I'm starting doing anything like recording, she decides to get the noisiest things out. So where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, this. So yeah, this one, they're both acrylics. This one is Stylecraft Special Aran in lipstick, maybe? No, lipstick's red. Oh, what is it called now? I can't remember. Candy Floss? Something like that? It's bright pink anyway. I'm not sure how well the camera's picking up the colours here. And this one was just like a random ball that I picked up somewhere in like B&M or Home Bargains or something like that years ago. And it just happens to be that the pinks in it are quite similar, and they were just sitting next to each other in the scrap thing. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to use them. So we had 60 grams of the pink left and 50 grams of the variegated, which has got like oranges, greens and pinks and yellows in it. And I thought, I'm going to do something with these. So what I did was I saved 10 grams back to do the edges. And then I made the biggest granny square that I could with 25 grams. So I had like a little bit left of each one. And I just made 4 granny squares, attached them to get, like, I used join as you go to attach the granny squares. So that didn't require any extra yarn at all. And then I just put a double crochet border around the top. This one's actually got a double crochet and then the same border as I did on the blanket with the front post and half double. And I've got that top and bottom. And that used up pretty much all the yarn that I had left from that. So that's another scrap project that's got rid of some partial skeins out my stash. So I was pretty happy with that. And it's pink, so you know, what's not to love. So yeah, there's that. And that is all my yarny finished objects. I do have one more, which is this hot pad. And I've never made a hot pad before. It's crazy. I don't know if I'd said before, I used to get a thing called the Craft Club box, and it's a monthly sewing box subscription. And it used to alternate, it might still do that, I haven't had it for a while because I've got a backlog of the boxes. But it used to be you would get 1 month with a hand sewing project and 1 month with a machine sewing project. So this is one of the machine sewing projects. Sorry, I don't know what is wrong with me today. And it comes with everything that you need apart from the thread for your sewing machine. So this one comes with the inner fabric, the outer fabric. Inside it there's like heat, it's not heat proof, it's heat resistant, like wooden stuff. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not very thick, but apparently it's heat resistant. And then it shows you how to do the quilting on it and put it all together. And the pattern comes in a nice little booklet, so we can keep the booklet to reuse again. Although these are really easy to make. Like, if you have never made a hot pad before and you quite fancy making one, and you're like, oh, but I don't really know how to sew very well, I can only do little bits, make one of these. It is so easy, honestly. There'll be like tutorials on YouTube for it. There will be free tutorials all over the internet for these. You literally make 2 squares, you cut one in half and bind it there, and then you bind all around the outside. And you just machine bind it. You don't hand, you can hand bind it if you want, obviously, but I just did this with machine binding, and then with a bit of binding that was left, you just loop it round and sew it down. Very easy to make and will be useful in my kitchen. And there's my bit of quilting on the back. So if I was to do it again, I would probably use a different colour thread. I kind of went a bit off piece with the quilting on the front, did my own thing. The inside's puckered slightly, but I don't care because this is for my kitchen. You know, if I make a mistake when I'm making things for my shops, I will absolutely unpick it and start it again. Like, I would never send anything out unless it's absolutely perfect. If I'm making it for a present for somebody, I will not give anybody anything unless it is absolutely perfect. If it's for me, I don't care. You know, it works. That little tiny, can you see? That little tiny pucker in that fabric there, that's not going to be the reason this thing doesn't work. So, I have a hot pad. It's my first one. I'm very happy with it. So, I now know how to make hot pads. That's all my finished objects. 4 finished objects is not a lot for the week. I have an almost finished object, and it should have been a finished object, except I can't find my needles. I have the little John James, is it John James pebbles? The little pebbles. My pebble has disappeared, but I will show you. This sock is completely finished apart from the Tony's Kitchenard. That's all I need to do. So these are the socks from last week and probably the week before. And just a little tiny leg on them. Why I made a 4-inch leg is beyond me. I still have no idea. I have 46 grams of yarn left, so that's enough for me to make another pair of socks if I use contrasting toes and heels, or a pair of actual shorties would probably, yeah, because if I cut out that much of a leg, I would get another pair of shorties out of this. This is Truly Wool Rich. This is by Signet. Truly Wool Rich. They are a UK company. That's what's the colour number? And it's quite nice. I've not used it before. This is the first time I've used it. It's quite nice to knit with. It's not super soft like Merino soft. It feels more like a Regia. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it feels more like that. You know, it's a little bit toothy, but it's nice. It's not rough. It just, you can tell that it's wool. So yeah, I will report back on how this wears, because I am very hard on my socks. Like I like to wear hand knit socks because my feet swell a lot. So I tend to wear my hand knit socks all the time, so I'm quite hard on them. So I will report back on these and let you know if I ever find my darning needles. Otherwise, I'm going to be very upset. I don't know what I've done with them. It's like I was using them yesterday, and I have, you might be able to see the corner where I've got my cart there, and that usually has all my stuff on it, and I've torn that thing apart and it's just not on there, and I don't know, and I'm really hoping the dog hasn't found them and eaten them, because she likes to do things like that. She's absolutely one of these dogs where if it fits in her mouth, that's food. Like I think I'm the only person I know who has a command for the dog that is not food, and then she'll drop something. But if you say not food, then she will drop it. If you don't say not food, she will absolutely just chew things. Enough about the dog. What else have we got for whips? That's a kind of a transition, because it should be a finished object, but technically it's still a whip. The rest of my whips, what do we have? I have a little bit of cross stitch. This, yeah, that's right. This is my Totoro from last week. So last week I think I only had this little bit here, so I've done up there. I haven't done an awful lot on it because I've been very, very tired this week. I've not been sleeping very well, which is probably why I'm so waffly. It's been very, very hot, but it's also been storming, and my dog is terrified of thunderstorms, and she's, yeah, she doesn't like loud noises at all. I think she has some kind of like childhood trauma to do with loud noises, because she was about 4 or 5 months when we got her, allegedly, and she is terrible with loud noises. She hates them, and she is house trained, but she will pee everywhere when there is thunder and lightning, because she's just so scared. And I mean, you can't be mad at her. It's a shame. So we've had thunderstorms all week, which means I've not really been sleeping, and because I've not been sleeping, I've been too tired to stitch, really. So that is all the cross stitch I've done this week, is just that little bit. But I have been doing a little bit of sewing. I did not do the quilt top that I was supposed to do. All I have to do for that, because I've done all the little squares, all I have to do for that is cut long strips and attach the long strips to the squares. Did I do that? Yeah. Why would I do that? Instead, I got all these layer cakes that I've got. A layer cake is a bunch of coordinating fabrics that are 10-inch squared. And I started this. Ooh. Let's see, all these different fabrics. I was going to make it just this size, but I've decided I'm going to cut some more fabrics and make it a little bigger. And see if I can maybe make it big enough to go into my bed, and see if maybe having a really nice light quilt will help me sleep a little better. But it does need to be quite a bit bigger than this, so I need to get back to cutting up some fabrics and getting that done. And I'm not sure how I'm going to quilt this. I might hand quilt it with big stitch quilting as well, like I plan to do with the other one. We shall see how I get on with that. I mean, it's just like the most basic of basic patchwork quilts. I didn't even check. I didn't like lay it out or plan. And I know there's some quilters are going to be like, no. But I literally just had a pile of layer cakes and I just like took things from each pile. I did absolutely no planning. The only planning I did do was not putting similar colours next to each other. Like, not putting, like on here, I have like bears and then cats and then woodland and then fish and then floral. And so sort of darker one, lighter one, a darker one, a lighter one, and doing it a bit like that. That's a bit as far as I planned it, is when I was pulling things off the piles, because I had like 4 or 5 piles sitting around. I just tried to pick ones that weren't like 2 really dark ones together or 2 really light ones together. And because it's just for my bed and I like all the fabrics, so yeah, I just wanted something where I didn't really have to think about it and I could just sew straight lines, and that's all it is. I do like myself a wee patchwork blanket. Weirdly, I don't like making random granny square blankets, but I love random patchwork blankets. I think patchwork quilts, I think they might be my favourite kind of quilt to make. I used to do quite a lot of quilting and I haven't done any for ages because they can get rather unwieldy on the machine. So it takes time to sit in and get it done. It's a quilting machine that I've got. I am lucky enough to have a nice sewing machine. But even with a proper quilting machine, a large quilt for a big bed can get quite unwieldy. So I haven't made any big quilts for a long time. Yeah, and there's that one. And what else do we have? Oh, whips. Let's take a look at my list. So, oh, I only have 2 more whips. And they had barely started. Do you remember me going on about this Drops Muscat yarn? Oh, so for this, I'm using this 5mm resin hook again. This is my Omni hook. So that Drops Muscat yarn that I decided that I didn't like because it's very splitty and I'm never going to use it for anything. Well, I have this whole bag of Drops Muscat. These are 50g bottles, so it looks like quite a lot in there, but it's probably not that much. So I've decided just to do a big massive circle, and depending on how big the circle ends up being, it will either turn it into a rug, a throw for the bed, or something for on the back of the sofa. And all I'm doing is making just a big circle, but I'm using a bigger hook than it calls for, so it's a little bit drapey, a little bit lacy. And the actual yarn itself, I don't know if you can see the sheen. No, maybe, I don't know. What you can see on it, you might be able to see it on there. No. See, it's picking up like the fibres, but it's not picking up the sheen. It does have a bit of a sheen to it. It's nice and it feels soft in the hand, and it feels nice when you work it up. You know, sometimes you work up cotton and it can be quite like stiff and quite rough on your hands. This stuff's lovely. It's really drapey, it's really soft, it's really nice. So it's got the sheen to it, it's got a little bit of stretch with, you know, a lot of cotton doesn't stretch at all. But I just want to get it used because it's been sat there for ages. And again, it's just having a nice mindless project. And it is just a circle getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know how everybody else does the circles and works out where they are. But for me, this is how my brain works. And this might help somebody else. Whatever amount of rows you're on, like for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm on row 9 currently. So each section between your increase and your next increase, see, increase all the way across, and then the next increase is there. The stitches in between there is the same amount of stitches as you have rows. So I'm on row 9, so this has 9 stitches. Only one of them is a double. And one is an increase. So you have your increase for 2 stitches and then 7 more stitches. Does that make sense? Because I was thinking, if this thing's going to get quite big and I need to like sit and do it in several sessions, I'm not going to sit and do the whole lot at once. This was like just the couple of scrap balls I had left off the bottles, and these are going to, like, that took me maybe about an hour to do last night, but that's going to be my just sitting do my mindless crocheting project. So yeah, I had to work out, well, I didn't have to work out, I am going to have to work out as I'm going what row I'm on, because I'm not going to be able to sit down and do it all, and that's how I do it. Just the section of stitches is the same as the amount of rows that you're on, and it's very, very easy once you get to bigger numbers on a circle to lose count. So that is a good way of doing it, because looking at the row below doesn't always help you, because if you've miscounted on the row below, then you're just going to screw yourself for the rest of it. So yeah, that's hopefully going to use up a big bag of yarn there. And my last, attached, of one more whip. I feel like I'm kind of flying through this really quickly, but I also feel like I have just waffled so much. I'm sorry. If you've got this far, but I'm not recording again because it's too hot and I don't have time. This is the yarn that I had left from the mesh top that I made, which I do plan on doing a tutorial on. Someone had said about getting a pattern for it, so I'm going to try writing up a pattern for it on my blog, which I have about 4 patterns that I need to put on my blog. I've just not had the time. I'm planning on doing a video tutorial for it as well. And this is just cotton yarn. I've got about 140 grams left, so I decided I'm going to knit myself a cotton shawl, and this is the start of it. Some little eyelets and some little things, and I will show you what it will look like. Oh God, can you even see that? Here we go. And it will just have like little dragon tooth edge on it. Oh, there's a lighter one, you would see on there. So most of the body is just in garter, and then see like the edging on it, which is built in as your knit. It's like the dragon's tooth edge with the eyelets. So I've literally just done the first section on it just to see how it worked up, and I think it's going to work out really nice in this yarn. And it's just nice again to have something cotton in summer, because I like wearing something around my neck, but obviously when it's really warm outside you don't want to be wearing a wool shawl. So I'm hoping the cotton will be nice and keep me cool. This stuff, when I washed it, like I have no shame, I put stuff in the washing machine and then I put it in the dryer, because I do not have the space or the time or the memory to have wet washing sitting out until it dries. If I make something, I will block it, but then after that it's pretty much on its own. That's why, as much as I would love to say, yes, I'll be more environmentally sustainable, I have to have superwash, because things just go in the wash. I don't have the time to hand wash things. I don't have the space or the inclination. And I know there's going to be some people who that makes very unhappy. But I do get a lot of wear out of my stuff, so I don't think it's that bad. I know it's not the most environmentally sound, but I do get a lot of wear out stuff. And also, you know, you get a lot of really, really nicely coloured hand-dyed stuff, which is what I've been buying this week. I've also I've signed up for a yarn club, because I haven't had a yarn club in a couple of years now. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat myself and I'm going to have a yarn club. So I haven't had my first one arrive yet. From Discreet Unicorn. So I had a complete blank on the name there. I've been watching somebody else, Starlight and Stitches, maybe? I think somebody gets a Discreet Unicorn monthly club, and the colours that they get are really nice, and I'm having a look on their website and I really like all their colours. So I'm going to try getting a thing from them for a few months and see how it goes. I mean, I might get it for a few months, not like it and cancel it again, but we shall see. Nothing wrong with trying them. Talking of yarn, that's me done, I think, for whips. Just check my list. I've got my list there. Yeah, that's me done for everything. So now I have two acquisitions from this week, one of which I won a competition. This is Winnie's yarn. Here we go. And this is so soft. It's nice. It's like buttery soft. And this is all, I've not unwound it yet, but you can see all the, I'll get my face out of the way, all the pinks and greens. It's very spring-like. It's very nice. And this is in a DK base, I think. It doesn't say, it just says 100 grams, 100% merino. It feels like DK. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with it, DK. Oh, God. Are we back yet? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I won this on, she has a podcast. The podcast is CrochetknitlovebyJo. So you should pop over and see her. She does a very nice podcast, knitting and crocheting, and she does a bit about her yarn dyeing as well. She is currently selling her yarn on eBay. She did have her own website, but it wasn't really working out for her. She wasn't enjoying it, and it wasn't financially viable at the time. So she's currently selling her stuff on eBay. Worth going and having a look. I've had a few skeins from her now, and they've always been really nice. Good quality. and the dye's always really nice on them. So she is a fairly new company, so if you can go and give her some love, that would be very, very nice. And you can pop across and see her podcast as well. The yarn company is Winnie's Yarn. The podcast is Crochet Knit Love by Jo. She's also on Instagram under that name as well. And she's lovely. She's really nice. So go and see her. The other thing that I got was I got a new stitch marker. Ooh, can you see that? There we go. Little sugar skull. I got that from RowRow and Kades, which is also where I got the other skull stitch marker. That one. And she also has a podcast. She is predominantly a knitwear designer, but on her Etsy shop, she sells these. So I will link her down below. I say she also has a podcast, so go over and see her podcast and pop into her Etsy shop. She sells her pattern. I don't think she sells her patterns on Etsy. She definitely sells them on Ravelry. I'm pretty sure she has a website as well to sell her patterns on. So yeah, I mean, you'll have seen her patterns even if you don't recognise the name. You will have definitely seen her patterns around because she's got some like really nice, very popular ones. And she does, so it's knitwear that she does for adults, for kids, and she tends to do like classic kind of style with really nice detailing on it. So if that's your sort of thing, and she does a lot of socks as well, so if that's your sort of thing, then pop over and have a wee look at her things. I think that might be all of my stuff. I think that's all the crafty yarny content. What else have I been up to? Oh my god, right. I, this week, have for the first time watched all the Twilight movies. I'm a big vampire fan, like vampire books, vampire movies, vampire everything. Like I'm a little bit vampire obsessed. But I've never watched the Twilight movies or read the Twilight books because the kind of press that they got, I was like, it doesn't really sound like my sort of thing. You know, it sounds very teen drama. And as soon as I heard the words sparkly vampire, I was like, I don't know. But I am absolutely into it. Like, I wish I'd watched them ages ago. I finished watching the last one this morning and I really enjoyed them. They're just nice, easy watching, nothing too traumatic in them. I mean, some of the deaths are a bit on the gruesome side, but they're not like gory. There's not a lot of like blood and guts and everything flying around everywhere, so it's nice, easy watching. You know, like there is violence in it, but it's all like fantasy violence. There's nothing. It's hard to explain different kinds of violence. I tried explaining this to my kids because they're like, how come we're allowed to watch this type of violence but not this? And I'm like, well, that's a cartoon and that's very clearly, because my 11-year-old's starting to get into like wanting to watch older stuff now. Yeah, it's, you get different types of violence and this is like fairly easygoing. It's not like scary, traumatic, people being scared kind of violence, which I'm not really into. I find that difficult to watch. And there's not too much in the way of, a lot of vampire things tend to go the very, very naked route, and this didn't really do that as well, which was nice, which I appreciate, because, you know, if the kids are upstairs, then I was like, I like to put on what I'm watching, but I wasn't really too concerned about if one of them wandered in when I was in the middle of watching it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it was alright, it was good. Storyline wasn't terrible. and I can see what all the hype was about. It's a little concerning that they're sort of 16 and 17 when a lot of this stuff's going on, but you know, it's fine. It's so hard to think of them being like 16 and 17 when they're all clearly adults. It's crazy. And I think that's about it. What else did I watch this week? I watched Hannibal, the movie, because I've never seen that. It's the sequel to Silence of the Lambs, and it has Anthony Hopkins in it, but it doesn't have Jodie Foster in it. And it's set like, I think it's 10 years later or something after Silence of the Lambs. And that was alright, that was pretty good. I mean, and it's got Anthony Hopkins in it, and he's always good. The story was a little disjointed, I found, but that could have just been me being very tired. What else have I been watching? Oh, I don't know. I'm very excited though, because there's a new season of The Witcher, which is starting on the 29th. And I had the conversation with my partner, because he really wants to watch it as well. But I only see him every 2 weeks. There's like, is this something we're watching together or something to like watch separately? And he's like, just watch it on your own, it's fine. I don't want to sit and watch you drooling over him anyway. Okay, watching it for the storyline. Probably. It has a storyline. So I have been rewatching The Witcher as well to get ready for that. I think that's about it. I think that's probably quite enough for a week though. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to. I've not really been reading. I've a little bit of audiobooks. Vampire book again, I Know Dracula. Can't remember who it's by. But I've started listening to that a little. But I lost my earbuds, so that's been not great for my listening, because I usually listen to audiobooks while I'm walking around and doing stuff. So like if I'm maybe out walking the dog or out to go and get the kids from school or whatever, that's when I tend to listen to my audiobooks most, because you know it's safe walking around with earbuds in. But I don't like being outside, and it keeps me a bit calmer, so that's why I do that. Right, I think that is, so I keep looking at it. I have a feeling that there's something else that I was supposed to show you, and I cannot for the life of me think what it was. I have no idea. It'll probably come to me at some point. If so, then I'll just keep it for next week, I suppose. Oh, that was it. I got one of these. It's a wool genie. Nope, I'll bite the first time. It's very hard. Right, that way. Wool genie. I've seen this on a couple of different podcasts now, and I thought that looks really good, because it doesn't matter how much you try, sometimes your balls of yarn just go all over the place. And I do try and centre pull most of the time, but then you have like the collapse in the middle and it's just not nice. So I'm going to try this out and see how I get on with it, and I shall report back. I think it was about £12 or £12.99 on Amazon, so not stupidly expensive. And if it means that I can just like stick a ball of yarn on there and go for it, then that is great. Although I have a funny feeling that the dog might try and attack it, because she's nice like that. She spent last night trying to attack a moth. There was, you know, the tiny little moths? Well, there's one of them had come in the window and had settled itself on the ceiling, and the dog was convinced that she was reaching it. So she just stood in the middle of the room, just jumping up and down. She's not the brightest. She also thinks she can catch birds on airplanes, so yeah. And I think that is me. I'm going to stop waffling now. I have waffled on for nearly 50 minutes. And now that I've remembered the thing that I had forgotten, I feel much better. I know this has been a really waffly episode. I know I'm a little bit hyper. I'm sorry again. If you've made it to the end, I apologise and thank you. I very much appreciate everybody who sits and watches, and yeah, it's great. I do have a lot of people who sit and watch but then do not subscribe, and it would be really nice if you could. Like, my subscribers are going up very, very slowly. And I know it says subscribe and people sometimes think that that means that they have to pay for something. Subscribing on YouTube is not, you don't have to pay for it ever. There's another thing on YouTube that you can pay for, which is like being part of the community type thing. But for just your standard YouTube stuff, to subscribe to a channel or to like read community posts and things like that, that doesn't cost anything at all. So any YouTuber that you enjoy their content and you want to know when they're putting out new videos, if you click the subscribe button and then next to it there's a little bell icon, if you press that and change that to all, it's like a little bell with 2 lines on the side of it, then you'll get a notification every time that person posts, and that really, really helps YouTube creators, because YouTube then goes, oh, people like that person, and then they push the videos so that other people can see them. So that's why everybody's always, if you could like, comment, subscribe, all that, it helps not just me, any YouTuber that you watch that you enjoy their content, you know, help them out. It doesn't cost you anything apart from the few minutes it takes just to click and subscribe and press that like button. You can do it on the TV as well. I know a lot of people watch on TV. On mine, I just have to press the up button and then I get all the, you get like the bar, and then above the bar I have like the little like thing and the thing to go to the person's channel, and I can't comment, but I can subscribe to people and I can like their channel. So I know that different tellies are different and yours might not work like that, but that is something that's worth trying, because we do appreciate it very, very much, and it would be nice if we could get out to more people. I was like, the light is going all over the place today as well. English weather, honestly. English weather is just all over the place right now. Right, I am done. I'm going to stop waffling. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, leave me comments, let me know what you've been up to. I always enjoy reading comments, and yeah, pop over and see me on Instagram and things. All my things are either down below or at the end of the video. I have a screen that comes up that has everything on it. Yeah, I think that's everything. Best place to get me is either emailing me, commenting on here, or on Instagram if you want anything. If I forget to link anything that I've mentioned or anything that you want me to link, let me know and I will put the links down there for you. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. I should have another video coming up as well for a Stitcher library, because I have 2 things for my Stitcher library, so I'll be doing one of them. Right, I'm actually going to go now. So I keep remembering things as I go. I will see you next week. Until then, enjoy, have fun, take those 5 minutes for yourself. You are absolutely worth the time.